So you got a hand for us?
Yeah, yeah. This is at a casino in the Midwest. The game is 1-2 winner straddle, so it plays effectively like a 2-5. We play eight-handed. So I'm in the small blind and in the straddle. So it's essentially just kind of like I'm in the big blind at 2-5. So I'm in the $5 small blind straddle. It's
So you
kind of
have
odd.
$5 in the small blind, but then the guy to your left has $2 in, but
Yep,
the action
yep,
starts on him. Is that right?
yep, yep.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
I start the hand at 820 effective.
Okay.
Villain covers me. This villain and I are both recreationals. I've played with him before. I've seen him around a little bit.
Okay.
We were kind of talking a little bit throughout the session. So anyway, he opens first to act, so under the gun to 20.
Okay.
I have 8-9 offsuit in the straddle, no spade, and I defend for 15 more.
So under the gun to 20 gets folded around you in the small blind with 8-9 off, and you call for 15 more. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it's a little loose. I wanted to mix it up with him a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little loose for 4x from under the gun for sure. Obviously, I'm calling with like a suited connector here, gap suited connector. Again, it just goes to show that you don't have to play that loose in a non-anteed game um, against a 4x open here. So, but sounds like you know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, so anyway, we go to the flop. The flop is 5-6-7 with the 5 and 7 of spades. And it's heads up.
So five of spades, six. I'm gonna put five of spades, six of hearts, seven of spades. Okay. And you don't have a spade in your hand, right?
No.
So you flop the joint, the
Yep.
gin. Okay. Yep.
I thought about leading. I sat there for probably like 5-10 seconds, and I think this is a board you can lead, but I decided to check it over to him. He bet 30 into 40. I raise to 80, and he tank calls.
By
We
the
actually
way,
have some.
I like.
Sorry.
I mean, I really like your check raise. I mean, there's so many action card killing, hands, and usually when someone bets here, they're going to have something. This is a pretty good example, I would say, of again the reality of small stakes, where the theory goes that this very well could be a check 100 spot from somebody who's raising a very tight range from up front against someone who's defending in a blind. Now, with that being said, the reason why it's check 100 is because the guy in the blind can just attack you with hands as weak as like king four with the back door, something like that, right? There's just going to be a ton of runouts that are bad for overpairs. With that being said, that doesn't really exist that much where the guy in the blind will find those raises. So the counter to that is you can more liberally bet over pairs on boards that don't favor you, and you can also do it multi-way, another small stakes exploit type of thing. But for the most part, I would say people aren't just sort of nakedly like c-betting ace queen of diamonds here, and if they are, it's not like you're going to get any more money from them anyways. I would go a little bit larger here for exactly what I was saying, where he's either going to have something that's going to call or not. And at 820, I might go 4x here to 120. We had this other call, the guy, he didn't get max value with the 6-7 of diamonds. I think you were on hold for that, but I'd like to go a little bit larger here, but
Yeah,
subtle.
I kind of wanted to rope him into a call and continue.
But what is
Uh,
roping? What is 80 call that? I mean, same thing as before. Like, what is calling here for 80 that's not calling for 120 in terms of like hand shaping?
yeah, I mean he's under the gun, so he shouldn't really have anything like. I mean, maybe something I don't know, like maybe like A6, A7 might start folding out to a 120 to 150.
I versus 80. I don't know. I mean, that's and he'd have to open that too, right, from under the gun,
Right,
eight-handed. I mean, it's just I just think there's a whole lot of overpairs here that he's going to
for
continue with.
sure.
But okay, so you make it 80 and he calls, so it looks like the pot's like maybe 200 and change, right?
Yeah, that's what I got in my notes. And
Okay,
just for the record, right here, since he was tanking so long, I did something that I usually don't do, and I tried to get into some speech play. And he asked if I was on a draw, and so I just told him I don't have spades. And so then after that, he ended up calling. So I'm not too happy with that decision.
That's interesting. I
Yeah,
usually don't respond. If somebody were to say that, I wouldn't respond, but I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking
yeah.
it. I mean, you can
So
lie too,
anyway,
right? I mean,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
and so anyway, we
Yeah.
we get to the turn, and the turn is a really ugly ace of spades.
This is after you said I don't have spades, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The only thing I'll say is that even if people who engage in speech play have the ability to lie, here's the thing. This is kind of almost like reading a hand. It's a kind of like one of those conditional if then logic problems I keep talking about. Like, first of all, not all people engage in speech play, but if somebody asks you, what do you have or are you on a draw? Some people are going to say nothing. Then some people are going to respond. But of the people that are going to respond, I think just as a reflex, there's going to be more truth telling than lies because you have to make an effort to lie. So you could be lying here, but I would say on average, if I were to bet money on it, the person would probably be telling the truth more often than lying. That's just my take on the whole thing in an odd scenario. But okay, so that turns the ace of spades.
yeah. And so obviously seeing that, I make a kind of a joke. I'm like, that's not a good turn for me, and I check it over to him, and he bets 75 into 200.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think you're going to call here for sure, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Uh-huh.
just call.
So the pot is 350. Okay.
And then the river is an offsuit six. Um, I don't recall the suit, but it's not really relevant. So the board's 5 6 7 ace six with the 5 7 and ace of spades.
Right. So like you said, 5 6 7, ace, third spade, river is an offsuit six. The pot is 350. The guy called the check raise on the flop. Turn, he you checked and he bet 75 and he called. And I wonder too here though, because I kind of washed over it. I kind of think I might even bet the turn here too sometimes. I mean, I know you don't have a spade in your hand, but I think it's more likely that he's going to have something that will call as opposed to him having a lot of flushings. I mean, flushing types of hands. If you were to look at a range of what he opened here from under the gun, if it was somewhat reasonable, there's only so many spade combos. Let's say it's like all 9 10 suited plus. I don't know. Was that 6 or 7, maybe Broadway spades, maybe less with the ace of spades coming here. Because I think that that's important. When the ace comes that completes the front door, it cuts a lot of the flush combos out.
Yeah, yeah. This guy's not going to be opening like king seven suited from under the
Yeah,
gun.
so you've got, king jack, king 10, king queen, yeah, that's like 5 or 6 but then every pair above a 7, which is there's 6 combos of besides the 8s and the 9s. I mean, that's put it this way, there's a lot of pairs that are high, much more than spade flushes. And then half of those pairs have a spade in it. So it's not necessarily an auto check, I guess is what I'm saying. I didn't mean to wash over it. I might continue to bet here some of the time too. But okay, so you check call, pot's 350, river's a 6 now, so it pairs the board. If for some reason he had like pocket aces or a boat or something like that, you lose. I assume you're going to check now.
Yeah, so I check it over to him,
Mm.
and he was on a pretty big heater. He probably had like 1,600, 2,000 in front of him, and he just kind of sits back and just casually says, "I'm all in," and like pushes his hands forward, just like
For how
kind of
much?
very exaggerated.
For how
For
much?
640, he covers me, so 640.
Wow. Wow, that's bizarre because this is why this is bizarre, Graham. Again, we would sort of have to find the bluffs, but why do you think that this is bizarre? Why do you let me ask you this question. Why do you think I think this is bizarre?
I don't know why you think it is. I mean, I think it's bizarre because I have all the fives, sixes, sevens. I mean, I don't have the flush if I'm truthful, but I can definitely have like some. I can even have 5 6 6 7. I have all the two pair combinations.
Well, you have
So
boats, right? I mean, you're thinking why it's bizarre is the same reason why I'm thinking it's bizarre is like if the guy turned to flush, is he gonna move? Is he going to go 2x the size of the pot when you have a lot of boats here? You also said you didn't have spades and you check called when the spade came. This would seem like a terrible card for a Broadway spade flush, right?
Yeah, I was definitely I didn't think made flushes would take this line. Um, I don't know. It was really first of all, I don't see a lot of pot size bets anyway, but then just him kind of sitting back and just comfortably jamming two times pot, I was like, he kind of put me in the blender.
I mean, I was thinking the same thing. You could even make the case here that this is pocket aces or a bluff. I think I saw that somewhere in the chat, but I was actually thinking the same thing. I mean, we could say, some sort of full house or a bluff, aces being the one that makes the most sense. I guess you could have like sevens or something if you had that, if you just called through your check raise and then bet the spade turn, which is a little bit bizarre, right? You could make the case that this might just be like aces full or a bluff. It's very strange. And, but at the same time, I'm trying to think like would it be like pocket eights? Now you have you have an eight in your hand or some sort of like four that he's opening. It's just, I would be very, very curious, although it is 2x the size of the pot. So, if you were to just look at it from like a defense frequency standpoint, like you probably, I don't know, as played, I bet you this probably isn't in the top 33% of the top, excuse me. Yeah, you would need to call with the top 33, excuse me, 66% of hands, right? Because he's risking 2x, right? He needs to be right because he's risking 2x the size of the pot. So you need to call with 33% of your hands, if I'm saying that right. 33% of your hands, the best 33% of your hands. Is a straight here as played in that? It's just a sort of theoretical exercise. I might say no based upon your action if you have spade draws and boats and things like that. Because like, what else are you checking on here on the flop or check raising here on the flop? So I'm very, very curious, but I kind of want to default back to like, this is a huge, huge bet in this game. But as our new content contributor, Squitch My Tomato, said that bluffing is the new value betting in some of these games. And I don't know how frequently that is caught on in some of these games, but it is very, very bizarre. And I'm sort of curious here. It's pretty close. Again, maybe like a coin flip. It's definitely bizarre because, again, it's just one of these situations where his sizing at the end makes so little sense that it really polarizes him.
Yeah, and before I say his hand, we talked about it afterwards, and so I turned over my hand before deciding. I wasn't really angling for a reaction. I just kind of turned it over and was going to see what he did. Whenever we talked about it afterwards, he said his jam was for value. And I end up tank folding.
By the way,
and
I
he
will
told me
say, hold on a second. By the way, too, I will say that because you did raise small going back to the flop, he will show up with more hands here, right? Now, I said that, what is 80 call that 120 doesn't call if I went back to that. And I said, but maybe you've got some light floats. So it's a situation where if you went 150 or something like that, it would get not only would you get less pot odds here at the end, but it would be a little bit more possibly dicey here. But, maybe if he's only have aces full. So you ended up folding, right?
Yeah.
And
V shows ace 5 that he says he jammed for value.
Wow. Well, I don't think he jammed for value.
Yeah, I mean, asking him afterwards, he was like very confident. He's like, I thought I had a better hand than you, so maybe he's messing with me and doesn't actually think that. But from what I could tell, he thought he had the best hand, by the turn at least, and he thought he was jamming for value on the river.
I mean, I think that's probably a little bit suicidal from him in Hold'em. And especially for 2x, because I think he's going to run into some boats. Now, he does block 5-6, So I guess you could say it's better that he has some of these blockers, right? It's better that he blocks a6. He's better than he blocks 5-6 as opposed to like doing it with something that blocked nothing for sure. I if he's telling the truth, the guy's a button clicker, right? He has no idea what's going on. Occasionally you run into guys that have no idea what's going on, and sometimes you have to click the call button. You know, is this sometimes a genius bluff? Again, I would say that if he could get you to fold some, forget about the speech play. If he could get you to fold some small flushes and some straights here, and he blocks some of the full houses, I guess you could make a case here that this might not be a terrible bluff. You know, getting to the end, he's counterfeit. You check raise flop and you check call turn. How often is ace 5 here gonna be good? Now he does beat like a hand like 7-8, right? Something like that. But I would think that in order for this play to be profitable, you would have to fold some flushes here. Now, and again, I don't know how you're playing. I mean, the problem here is that if you don't have flushes because you check turn and you're telling the truth, then it's like, well, you've got 8-9, right? And some boats. And he's risking, say, 2x. It's probably pretty close. He's either a button clicker or a genius. I'm leaning towards a button clicker.
My impression is button clicker. But
Yeah.
I'll be on the lookout for him. Yeah, it was definitely a. I was just so lost on the rip just because I never see that. Guys just, I mean, I thought it was a6 or aces. I didn't think there was really any in between.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you will see sometimes where people who play very, very poorly play accidentally correctly, too. In a given situation, people saying accidentally GTO. So anyways, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.